Folks, we had an amazing episode number one. First episode, I can tell you that, right? It was the opportunity for us to really talk about the amazing work that Dr. Balknight, Melissa Balknight, is doing. She's the deputy superintendent in Charlotte Mecklenburg, and we talked about having endless possibilities for children. In Charlotte Mecklenburg, they have the three E's, and they say you need to choose your E, which is really either you're going to enroll, you're going to enlist, or you're going to be employed. And children at a young age, they're like, okay, either I'm enrolling in college, I'm enlisting in the services, and or I'm going to, when I get out of high school, I've got a job waiting on me. Melissa talked about the community partnerships that has been going on, the actual resources, the support, the connections to parents to ensure that all of these pieces are really brought together and really working in tandem to ensure that students are successful. And now what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be talking about like how do you bring a team together, Melissa? I think that's the question because you know what? This is amazing work that you guys are doing, right? But usually people say, okay, tell me how to do this, right? If you could tell us, okay, in choosing the right people, how do you choose the right people, empower those individuals, give them the resources that they need, and then how are you guiding them to ensure that those three E's are a reality for children?
That's a great question. And one of the
Mhm.
things that I believe is that it's true when you've heard people say you have to go slow to go fast,
Right.
you've got to slow down and you've got to
Hmm.
pour into that team. And if
Right.
you pour into the team and build the team in the right way, once the team is together, you will be able to go fast and you'll be all over a large district like Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools with 141,000 plus students. And we'll all be saying the same thing and doing the same work in the same way to support our students. And so, one of the things that I think is so critical is that as you have vacancies or can reorganize in your organization, hire hard.
Right.
Make sure that you take the time to understand the people that you're putting to do this most important work. Are they willing to do the hard work and build relationships? And everyone on the team doesn't need to be the same. We all
Right.
have very different gifts, and I think that's great. And so, one of the things that I've worked really hard is to make sure throughout any process when I'm building a team, making sure that throughout the process, the team is very clear on where we're going, what the
Hmm.
vision is, so that you can decide if I don't want to buy into this vision, then I can choose to do something else
Right.
because our students deserve the very best team available.
Exactly. Right.
And so one of the things that we were able to do is to restructure in our district to have leveled support because
Hmm.
oftentimes we focus on high school. Everybody focus on high school, kids are graduating, and we focus on elementary because we're so excited they're new. But
Right.
oftentimes the middle
The
school
middle school.
get lost. And
Hmm.
that feeds into so many things. If you look at
Right.
data, there are kids that have been retained in other things in middle school, and they unfortunately lead to dropouts. So
Right.
we really spend a lot of time pouring into our middle school students. But as I said earlier, making sure that we start talking as early as elementary school with our students about this is your future, making
Mhm.
sure that people understand that, and making sure that you invest in people that believe that all students can be successful. So as you build
Exactly.
a team, I think you also have to make sure that you're doing a good job cascading the information to the team. I think it's great when we can cascade meetings and
Mhm.
making sure that we're very intentional and to the point where there are 50 people on this team that I'm speaking about, but I've had skip level meetings with them. I've even had individual meetings with the next layer down because you really need to understand why people do the work and what their approach is because that will allow you. Remember, I said you have to go slow to go fast. So when
Right.
you're ready to go fast, that will allow the team to go faster when you understand where everyone's coming from. You compare the team members together better. And
Right.
don't be afraid to step back from the work and take them away from the office for a day or two to really calibrate what is
Right.
the work. When I say we're going to be enrolled, enlisted, or employed, let's talk about what that looks like in the district. How do we actualize that work? That
Right.
is so critical for the team to be able to fully understand how to actualize that work as a collective group and then feel comfortable to have that open discussion and productive struggle together. So we've really worked on that and we are moving at rapid speed now and seeing great results for our students.
Definitely. It's you said a couple things. You see it, we talked about the three E's. You talked about starting slow to move fast.
Mhm.
I love the hire hard, right? Also, some pieces I gathered there was, you communicate, but you also listen. A lot of times leaders, we communicate, but we don't listen
Mhm.
because you talked about it's extremely important for you to truly understand the style and understand the strengths and
Mhm.
areas of growth, even of your team, right? To be
Yep.
able to put them in different places where
Mhm.
they can be successful. Another thing you talked about was diversity, right? To ensure that you don't have everyone who has the same strength.
That's
Everyone has different strengths, and we want to make sure that we've got a team that is different with different strengths.
mhm.
Not the last thing you said, but the last thing I caught was you can have all that, but if you don't have a vision, you're wasting your time, right? You know what I'm
That's
saying? You can listen, you can communicate, you can have some of the best people on the planet, but if you don't have a vision and you guys are not sitting down like you're talking about, where you're calibrating, you're talking about, okay, this is the plan. How can we get there as a team? But always bringing them back to
that's
the vision is extremely important. It's funny when you were talking about those things. Just what we talked about last week and with Latasha was real similar. It was about she talked about the words of no excuses, vision, listening, communicating, getting the
mhm.
right people in the right places. And I'm
Mhm.
hearing some of those same pieces here of making sure that you really take your time in the beginning, not rush. A lot of leaders, the biggest mistake they do is they
Mhm.
think they got it all figured out, right? You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? And the minute that they get started, they're doing one, two, three instead of really thinking through how we can work with individuals to ensure that the plan is going great, folks. Folks, this has been amazing. Dr. Melissa Balknight, Deputy Superintendent in Charlotte Mecklenburg School District. Over, did you say 141,000 children?
Yes. Yes.
141,000 children, all choosing their E, all choosing, or they're going to enroll, or they're going to enlist, or we're going to be finding employment for them. Melissa, thank you so much for just taking your time on this episode. Our next episode is really going to focus on advice. I always like the last episode. I mean, everyone across the country, I always ask them, Melissa, what advice would you give individuals that are starting in leadership and really in one day want to be a leader with 141,000 students? What
Mhm.
advice would you give them? Folks, come back to our last and final episode with Dr. Balknight. We're going to be talking about giving advice, some strategies, some first steps that you need to really think through as you're thinking about leadership. Thanks for being a part of the second episode, folks, and come holler at us in the third and final episode.